Hey, welcome to part 5 of Arborist Avenue. So here we are, we're looking at some publications. This is my bibliography. So we got shut off by a dead battery there a second ago, but here we go. This is my article in July 1995, and I wrote up a little thing about oh, there's Bailey Hudson right next to me. Extra income. Oh, this is the cone collection article. Wild cone harvest takes skill and timing. There it is. And guess who's in this article? This guy right here. That was our version of cone collection back in the day. Got pretty wordy in this one. Here's an amazing picture. This was the picture where we ran out of film. Right after this picture was taken, and my shot, I was in the next tree over, it didn't get taken. Ha! That's probably 7 or 8 page article. Okay. Here is 1987 forestry program for Oregon. I was very involved in the state capitol building. Later got appointed to the Urban Community Forestry Council. Here's the fall 2018 report by Kubota Garden Foundation, talking about the 1927 Japanese garden. I got a poem in this one. This is the 2005 Queen Anne tree walk. I guess I should read my poem, huh? I wonder what page it's on. You guys always wanted to know that I was a poet. Published poet in the compendium for the Queen Anne tree walk and stair climb. So I don't see it. At any rate, there you go. We did a series of art exhibits at the base of every magnificent tree in Queen Anne neighborhood of Seattle. So here is the Heidi Myhoff worked for LP. She put together this kind of album of what we did that year. We landscaped a house in Medford, Oregon. There I am helping the kids plant a tree. I love doing that. Thanks to Jimmy Carter for coming up with the idea of helping low-income people get houses. So here's a Seattle 2006 UFMP, Urban Forest Management Plan. And this was right about the time that they removed the requirement to increase the number of trees every year. They changed that to do an inventory every 5 years. Here's the feds, Redwood National Park, which later, let's see, well, this was very old. I didn't start climbing in there until about 2003. So this book had been around a long time before that, before I started climbing, although this was very inspiring. I first went hiking in Porterville, California, Grove, around, I don't know, 1975. Okay, here's an article by Henry Arnold, a huge article, and called Sustainable Trees for Sustainable Cities. This was out of American Forests, 1989. So the concept of urban forestry was just starting to become accepted. Here's Oregon State University, diagnosing plant damage. Nice little bibliography. Here's for the Feds, Forest Service, Sustaining America's Urban Trees and Forests. Dave Nowak. Thank you so much. A researcher with the Forest Service who kind of picked up where Shigo left off and focused on urban forestry. Okay, here's the, this is pretty recent. This is Heidi's book. So this is 2019 from Planet Geo. Elizabeth Walker worked on this, Lance Davison, Ian Henu started looking at the role of trees in slowing down stormwater runoff. Oh, here's an employee letter. I worked for West Coast Tree Care for one summer. Wasn't happy with those people at all, and some of them kind of used interesting techniques, let's put it that way, as a commission-based operation, selling tree work based on how much profit the individual employee would get for signing a contract. So you don't want to have your salesman work on commission. Here's a tree in Queen Anne from 2006. Queen Anne is a neighborhood in Seattle. It's kind of like an upscale neighborhood, and it talks about trees being vandalized. Here is a blower sales packet, Steel BG 56, which I still have one. Here's New England Forests Through Time from Harvard from 2007. So they're talking about kind of rural forestry. Here's that West Coast employee handbook. Really, I did a pretty nice video called Butt Catch, working for this outfit, where we got to lower stuff over an asphalt slab. Here's one that I considered becoming employed by in 2000, Urban Tree Care, which was out of Portland, Oregon. Their employee handbook. Here's something for the state of Oregon Urban Community Forestry Council. The Monitoring Committee report. Here's the Right Tree book by Seattle City Light. This one really is a nice guide to dwarf trees that can fit underneath power lines from I get the date on these. The year 2000, the Right Tree book. And here is the Midwest Community Tree Guide from Pennsylvania with Greg McPherson. There you go. Paula Pepper worked on this, Scott Macco. And what it really takes to get stuff going. And then University of Idaho. Craig Foss put this out. No date. Well, that's unfortunate. Craig had a kid right about this time, and he also published, I believe, this book, Community Forestry Manual. And we'll come up with the date on that in a second. Okay, here's Ted Swicky, I believe. Guidelines for developing and evaluating tree ordinances. Yes, and Liz Barnhart did it under a contract to the CDF, California Department of Forestry. And this is a fantastic non-standard approach to looking at your goals and coming up with ordinances based on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. This is the awards program, the second annual, so this would put it in about 1990. Oh, no, this one says 1995. It took a while for them to get rolling. And I was on that committee for a while. Here's America the Beautiful, 1991, U.S. Forest Service. People and trees growing together. Very slick publication. National Urban and Community Forestry Advisory Council. Oh, here's a book, John Fowles. There you go. Fantastic book, very artsy. And then this one by Craig Foss. Let's, I got to review this. Craig Johnson, it says. Greg McPherson. Okay, maybe Craig wasn't on there. But it did have a nice little format for me. The benefits of a community forestry program, establishing a community forestry program, tree inventories, forest plan, tree ordinance and policy, and then the evaluations. And then it had all kinds of other stuff in here as well. Tree selection and planting, maintenance, a case study, a glossary, and appendices. There you go. That was fantastic. All right, so how are we doing on time? We're doing pretty good. We're only up to 11 minutes. So let's come up with some more books. Here's some right here. We're just taking them straight off the shelf. I just moved. So these look to be small pamphlets. These came straight out of boxes that were carried over from my old house in West Seattle to my new house in West Seattle. Here's the map of Kubota Garden, self-guided tour, a little history of it, a nice diagram. I would give these out like crazy. Oh, this is kind of a fun one. Here is me and Robert at Bumbershoot. Let's see if we can come up with this here. Yeah, there's a little video of us doing this. And I think this is right after Robert came back from Afghanistan. There we go. Okay. What do we got here? Oh, we got birthday cards. You're probably not going to be very interested in that. You want to go to the urban forestry stuff. Here is the 7th edition. Valuation of landscape trees, shrubs, and other plants. Guide to the methods and procedures for appraising amenity plants. So when this is edited by Dan Neely, who was the editor of the Journal of Arboriculture, and this was 1988. This lived for years. This was the I got a spare copy. So who wants a spare? Here's the companion book, Manual for Plant Appraisers, 1st edition, 1988. So this was kind of like later rolled into the 8th edition, which is the 6th edition, Guide for Establishing Values of Trees, dedicated to Chadwick, with the basic formula. This is how I learned how to appraise trees. Here's my buddy Rich Haig. Rich Haig is a landscape architect in Seattle, is a professor at the UW, University of Washington. I worked with him around 2000 for several years. He was involved with landscaping the Japanese garden at the Blowdell Reserve, among other places. Here's a 1994 reference to slides that were available from Harper. Here's the White Redwoods, which is Albino Redwood by Douglas Davis, subtitled Ghosts of the Forest. See if it comes up with the date of 1980. So if you want to know about albino redwoods, there you go. Lithia Park, which is in the city of Ashland, Oregon. Lithia Park was landscaped by wow, we have a lot of information coming through here. You already know who he is anyway, so I'm coming up with another list of books. That's what I'm going to do right now, is I am going to let you guys think about that father-son landscaping team, and I'm going to clear away some books, and then we're going to keep going like crazy. Okay, what did we come up with? We came up with oh, hey, we're into big books. There we go. So we already looked at that notebook. There we go. That's it. That's what we wanted. So this book is called Deforested America. (1928). This is in the same pile that came with the Pinchot book. Here's the 2015 West Seattle Garden Tour Guidebook, of which I'm one of the sponsors. Okay, long-range planning for development sites in the Pacific Northwest. The context of hazard tree management. This came out of Zone 6, 1992. So we have some really good stuff. Here's Hayfully. I got a chapter in this book about me and the tree sitter debacle. Thanks to Fred, author of Rebuilding the Indian, which is a book about an arborist who does a motorcycle restoration project in Missoula, Montana. And here's one, The Care and Feeding of Trees. So this is, now we're into arboriculture books. Here's Forest Legacy by Chris Mazer. Oh, Chris came to the UW about 10 years ago and gave a really nice lecture. Trees as Good Citizens by Charles Pack. This one is autographed by this guy. I don't know, you might remember this guy. In Holyoke, Massachusetts, John F. Kennedy. There you go. So John F. Kennedy believed that trees make good citizens. So here's some compendium. The volume 1 is Construction Damage to Trees. This is a series that were given away to people that did recruitment. So I would sign up new members as sponsors. And back in 1990, they gave me five of these books signed by Bill Kreidner. And he wanted us to share them. And Dan Neely was the editor. We've got Integrated Pest Management, Volume 2, Wounds on Trees, Volume 4, Tree Growth Retardation, Volume 5. Uh-oh, there's a Volume 3 missing someplace. Here's Vic Morello, Arboriculture and the Law. And Vic came and gave lectures in the Pacific Northwest, and I enjoyed quizzing him. Here's background on Yosemite. And of course, I've got my big, oh wow, look at this. Later, this book was out before I got into Yosemite. And started climbing in Nelder Grove around 01 or so, something like that. Thanks to This one says 1966. But this one, Big Trees of Southwest Oregon, this was my three-panel pamphlet. And there's a map, a self-guided tour of a 50-mile wide area in southern Oregon with the Heritage Oak, which is used to be at the sewage treatment plant. The Haines Massacre apple tree, which is still there out in Merlin. The Big Pine, which is standing dead and is in the Smithsonian. The Kirbyville Giant, that's gone in Cave Junction. Here's the Oregon Caves Doug Fir, which is still there. The Wolf Creek Tavern Oak, which was there, but is no longer, and the Brit-Sequoia, which is there. 500 years ago, a seed sprouted and grew into a giant. And I had these made up as part of the sesquicentennial, which is the 150th anniversary of the Oregon Territory. So, here's an early tree risk assessment manual with early art by Brian Kotwicka. Didn't even get a credit. Julian Dunster wrote this back in 2013. Here's Trees of the West. I met Lambert Florin in Grants Pass. There's the Merlin apple tree in here. And then I met Mark Moffett at Benaroya Hall in Seattle. He came and gave a lecture. And this is the companion publication to a movie, a 1-hour documentary by National Geographic. And got the autograph from Mark Moffett there. And what else we got? We got A City Amongst the Trees. This is the city of Seattle's really Kay Allen drawings in here. Wow, she was the illustrator for Plan Amnesty for a long time. And pretty thorough. You need a date on this. 1998. Yes. Urban Forest Research Guide. And then Trees for Architecture and the Landscape. Do you guys want to keep going? Because we have a pile of books that are about to roll onto the floor because I'm just throwing them down. Here's one. (1984) Lithia Park. It's the home of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, where I pruned some trees back in the early 90s at the Globe Theater replica. And it describes the sampling of the trees as you walk through their trees of note. Okay. What if we tried a different method of presenting these works? Like say put a book here, and that's called California Coast Redwood, an annotated bibliography. It's got a 1957 autograph, and so this is a first edition. Here's one, Illustrated History of the California Redwood Country, Redwood Empire, by Stuart Nixon. And this one got 350 black and white photos. Why on earth would you have a redwood tree? 1966, with only black and white. Here's one, Champion Trees, Britain and Ireland, by Owen Johnson. And the tree register. Wow, what is this? I don't really know much about English trees, but here they are. The Tree Register of the British Isles. Introduction by Thomas Pakenham. We'll get to Pakenham. This was 2003. And so maps, distribution, photos. Very thorough, typical scholarly publication, able to be used as a reference. How about restoration forestry? This is by Mike Pilarski, and it's a compendium. He didn't write this. It's got the blurb by Orville Camp. I was in the Southern Oregon Land Conservancy along with Orville Camp, and here's a Friends of Trees list that Michael Pilarski did. And of course, I gave him a tour in 2015 of Kubota Garden, and he autographed this for me. So this is a wonderful treatise on permaculture. And so here's Hughes Redwoods, another nice coffee table book. The World's Largest Trees is the subtitle. This one is 1981. A good history right in here. Yes. Great little one. Okay, now this one is Gresco with photographs by Bob Herger. And this one came out in '97. I just love coffee table books. There's Bull Creek right there. Famous little across the river, Elk River. Talking about the hoe. Really thorough. I love thorough. I'm trying to be thorough on these videos. We're up to 26 minutes. This was a book David Lee came out quite late, after these saws really were anachronisms, but the photography is fantastic. He's out of Seattle, I believe, and Wayne Sutton probably would be the guy to talk to about this book. We should get Wayne to take us through his museum down in Amboy, Washington. Wow, I got another stack of books I want to show you guys. Let's how about Make Our Cities Safe for Trees? I don't think I've showed you this one yet. This is the 4th Urban Forestry Conference in 1989. Neil Sampson put it on. Greg McPherson wrote this article. Phil Barker wrote the article on trees and sidewalk conflicts. And it's Andy Lipkus, inspiring an entire city to act. Right there, Global Relief, Tree Inventories, Bob Tate. Wow. Could you ever get wrapped up in that? I sure could. Here's Minnesota's Community and Urban Forests. Now this is the responsibility of Don Willicke. Don Willicke was a powerhouse, still is. I love these drawings in here. Out of city of Vancouver, Washington. Here's a directory. This was our version of a place to call. They're talking about the National Tree Trust. Wow, that was before the tree fund. This is a wonderful example of the who's who in Nebraska Forest Service and every place else. Dave Nowak, good researcher. Forests on the Edge report, sustaining American urban forests, urban trees and forests. This is GTR NRS 62, June 2010, out of the Northern Research Station. Here's City of Portland's Sidewalk Maintenance Program. And second edition, 1990. Wow, Alex Weinstra was a biggie over there. Here's an old book, a very old book from 1908 called The Redwood, Department of the Interior, Bureau of Forestry, Bulletin number